We look like dweebs in our matching shit. Hey, everybody.
Wait, I didn't know it was white tank top day.
If you ain't got a white tank on today, are you even doing summer right? How's everyone doing? Good to see you. Welcome to the mega live stream. It is hot in LA, and I have to take my antibiotic.
Antibiotics are flowing around this house lately.
Um,
I just finished
yesterday,
mine.
yesterday I had this weird thing happening in my ear, and then it just got weirder and weirder, where it seemed like a
Crackling.
crackling drum going on. It sounded exactly like when you hear fireworks outside your house popping and going off.
I hate ear stuff.
So I think I have an ear infection.
Eesh. Eesh.
How's everyone doing? Welcome in.
Yeah, I can't see the chat. How do I?
I'll pop this out.
Virginia's here. Oh yeah, thank you. Is bingo happening? How's everybody doing?
And
How are you? This is church. Y'all make me laugh on here.
It was not wax in my ears. Actually, it was a eustachian tube infection.
How do you get an ear infection from
Swimming in the pool?
Swimming, yeah.
I guess. So yeah, we've got some suggestions.
Oh, vertigo. Good.
Oh, I was having some vertigo too. I just felt super wonky. And let's give them a little rundown. We have a couple of questions about your suggestions.
Yeah, the stuff from the chat on Patreon was good.
And if you're new to this, we get a bunch of suggestions from the Patreon. We'll probably grab a few in here or work a few in here if we can. We'll try to work in the Patreon suggestions as we see fit. And I will also record this so that we can have an episode. We have a fun episode that's out today. Paul Britton, one of our oldest buds, SNL alum, is on today channeling JD Vance. So that should scratch the itch for all of you who are needing more political content on Mega, which is funny because I feel like not the sharp, Hallie and Gray aren't the political minds that anybody needs to hear from right now.
Although it was fun doing a bunch of JD Vance bits, just socking it to him. It feels good when you really feel like you're like, yeah, we're really getting him good. Yeah, Paul is amazing. Paul is so sweet. Paul is such a funny. He's so funny that it's almost like when you're talking with him or improvising with him, he's like doing this, like he's brewing. Don't you feel like there's just this like brewing funny inside of him, and it'll just like leak out every time he talks. He's so funny.
There's a fun detail about Paul is that his uncle was Bob Newhart, who R.I.P. And if you think of Bob Newhart when you listen to Paul, you can it's so direct the tone, I think.
Wait, Calvin's triplets with Taran Killam, is that a thing Paul did?
Oh, I think that's is that a Bang Bang thing?
Oh.
Nice. Yeah. Horse fighting. Yeah.
Bang Bang.
I need to do a better job of listening to Bang Bang and not just wanting to show up and be on it.
My dumbass in a meeting this week called it Bam Bam.
Bam Bam.
My brain. I saw CBB and I was like, Bam Bam. I said it in a meeting with Hans from iHeart. I was like, I mean Bang Bang. Oh my God, this brain.
Well, let's
yeah, Flintstones. I was like, whoops.
Let's give them a little taste. Do you want to just go through these real quick? Just give the bullet points of what we got.
What colors can Christians wear that are God honoring? Are the Climax kids referring to Gray in a certain way? Favorite Christian apps that Hallie and Gray use? Some problems with evil. Climax kids turning 18, gonna vote. How does Gray advise?
Okay.
Any interactions between the Amish population and the Twin Hills population, of course. Like it's church in Indiana. Come on, yeah, these are great.
Okay.
We thought we were gonna have to get Caitlin's help, but we figured out who Terry Hartunian is because there's
I forgot about Terry Hartunian. So Terry Hartunian was a worship leader, right? Or Terry Hartunian was a worship
at Twin Hills, and
it was clear that he was on coke because he was so excitable. Wait, this came up in a live stream.
Wasn't it something too where like you planted coke on him to get him fired? It was something like that.
Yeah.
Like there was a is
can someone on here? Can someone Virginia please give a recap of Terry Hartunian, because I truly don't remember what the hell I said.
Jerry put in something about custom fireworks going off at a funeral this week at Twin Hills. We'll get that in there. I think that's about it. We got a bunch of fun ones from you in the Patreon chat.
And Virginia threw
Virginia
a late one in there.
Is that the hips one, Virginia?
Yes.
I think. Did I get that one? Yeah, embarrassed and confused. Got it.
Embarrassed and confused, the name of my memoir. Yeah, so this feels like we got a lot. Nobody has said anything about Terry Hartunian, so I gotta think that either you don't remember this this canon character, or okay, the bit with Terry was that he was a worship leader and people did catch on that he was coked up, except for Gray. Okay. Oh, that Gray was kind of like Gray didn't understand the energy, the coke energy. That makes sense. I know. This is when I feel like Caitlin really should feel missed right now, because she would definitely know. Okay, cool. And I will record. Holly's not even here.
Okay.
Yeah, you ready? I think we got enough stuff. And hope y'all are having a good Sunday. Let's rock and roll.
I gotta toot my horn.
We're going to a concert tonight. Anybody doing anything fun? We're going to see Krung Bin at the Hollywood Bowl.
Krung Bin.
Not a great band name, but cool band sound.
That's kind of what's been on all week, right? That I really like the vibey. It's good work. I think it's good. It's a good album to work to if you're working, like while you're working. It's super vibey and it stays backgroundy to me.
Yeah.
Ish. I don't know. Highly recommend.
Ooh. Love Primus. Old school. You ready?
Yeah.
I will record this.
Who's in here? Oh, Jeanette, Virginia, Adam.
You can see all the participants.
Virginia.
Okay. Recording, and got your back.
I got your back. Pew.
Let's do some church. Church.
Jen Cogs, hi.
Hey, Jen. Okay, church. Here we go. Put on your Hallie hat.
This is church. All right. Yeah, I'm excited about these suggestions. Thank you for these. Hiya, I'm Hallie Levant, and this is Mega, coming to you from Twin Hills Community Church, where every single week we're giving our mega church a tiny family feel. We love introducing you to members of our church staff, people from our community, and do I find it to be a treat and a treasure. And per usual, I'm joined by my co-host. He's the youth pastor for our high school ministry called Climax. Please welcome Gray Haas.
All right. Okay. I've got the Lord, and that's my way.
That is so blessed, Gray.
Thanks, Hallie. I've been trying just to do some new call and response with my teens who come to Climax, and they are really into that one, because I've noticed a lot of the popular music now kind of has that rhythm to it. Have you noticed that?
That the music has rhythm?
Yeah, it's kind of, well, it's Brat Summer, And I'm kind of putting my own spin on Brat Summer, which are Little Chants. And
Awesome.
so, all right, okay, I've got the Lord and That's My Way, I think was one that I did or that I just did. And
You
I'm
did.
kind of coming up with a few more. Maybe I'll do a few more during this episode, just to kind of sprinkle them in to get people hyped about it being Brat Summer, and the ultimate brat, as we all know, is Jesus.
Awesome.
How are you doing, Hallie?
Well, I was thinking about, I was so impressed with your rhyme just now. And I was wondering about the process as someone who knows about, the latest music, what the kids are listening to. When you go to, free rhyme or, just rap, off the cuff or, whatever it's called, when you
Freestyle. Sometimes I'll, off the dome, or I'll freestyle different things. Sometimes I'll freestyle a sermon. Sometimes, Hallie, I'll totally throw out my message and just go totally off the cuff. I don't like to call it improv because it's not improv. I don't like improv.
Don't call anything improv because then nobody will come and they'll know that it's not going to be
Right.
funny.
And, kind of the ceiling on improv stuff is about $5. But I would say I divinely channel sometimes, just the, whatever the Holy Spirit is bringing to me, and I'll just output that.
Wow.
And
I never thought about how the Holy Spirit is a rapper.
oh, the Holy Spirit's the best rapper, Hallie.
Wow.
And a lot of other things. But I think what I would say is sometimes I just have to open myself up to the Holy Spirit and just see what he says. And, it typically is fire.
Well, you know how rappers are always changing their names, like Kanye changes his name all the time. P. Diddy, had changed it so many times he had to leave the country.
Right.
And
Yeah, I think that's why he did.
Do you think the Holy Spirit, when the Holy Spirit is in that version of himself where he's a rapper, do you think he maybe goes by a different name other than Holy Spirit or Holy Ghost?
Well, Holy Ghost, I think, is a pretty sick rap name.
Wow. Yeah.
And I actually, I actually, there was a time when I did a bit of hip hop. I was kind of in the culture, and I wouldn't say that I was fully pursuing it, but I was definitely in the culture. And a lot of my Black friends was saying, "You're really good at this." And I do have a lot of Black friends who are in the culture. It is so cool.
Yeah.
And many of my Black friends was saying, "You should do this." And I was going, "Guys,
well, then you gotta."
Right. And I was saying, "Guys, I'm gonna pursue, youth ministry, essentially brand building, and also entrepreneurship." But, when I was in the culture in the Indianapolis underground, a lot of my Black friends was saying, "You really should just think about this as a profession." And I had to say, "Guys, I'm sorry, I've got a calling. It's a little bit different." But I just do want to remind people that I do love it, and I do have a lot of Black friends.
Man, that is so cool.
Yeah.
I mean, speaking of, we had someone send in a question about Brat Summer because of wearing that green,
Right.
is kind of the cool thing.
Yeah.
And they were wondering, does that hurt your witness at all? Wearing that color, should we be wearing the opposite of it, maybe to show that we're faith-based, especially if you're a woman, to show that, we know what biblical women are like and submissive, and a lot of us are twos on the Enneagram. We love to help. We'll take care of everybody else before ourselves. And
so the question is about the actual brat color.
Yeah, and what color should what color doesn't grieve the heart of God? And
well, I've kind of reappropriated Brat Summer to be whatever Climax is up to. I didn't know there was a color associated with it. And, I think this is probably a great time to say, I'm colorblind. That comes with a lot of, I mean, I can see.
You're red-green colorblind.
Yes. And I also don't see race. But
that
I
right?
would say, the color that I chose for all the Climax Brat Summer stuff, it looks to me to be a very, very soft sand color, kind of a tan.
Yeah.
But then a lot of the kids were saying that it was, some version of purple. So I'm not really sure what it is, but color to me, Hallie, you can't. Color doesn't mean anything about brat. Brat is more of a vibe.
Oh, I thought it was that green. You're probably not seeing all your kids are wearing this like weird green color.
Oh, I didn't know. No, I thought that was like kind of a sandy brown.
Quick question. You were saying that your black friends have been encouraging you to get into rap. How do you know that they're black?
No, well, they two parts of that, Hallie, is they were encouraging me to stay in rap, and I didn't. I just said I'm too busy right now. But yeah, that's a great question. Maybe now that I think about it, maybe they aren't black, and I don't have a lot of black friends. Maybe I just have one black friend because when it comes to my colorblindness, I don't know. You know what, Hallie? I just say
How do you know
everyone's the
who's
same.
what?
Everyone's the same.
Have you ever wondered what I am? Because you don't know?
No, Hallie, I can tell exactly what you are.
Oh, wow.
Anyway, so yeah, I think when it comes to Brat Summer, it's not really about the color you wear, the color of your skin. It's more about how you represent your bratitude is what an attitude of gratitude is
Oh,
what I say,
cool. Yeah.
and that gratitude has to be Christ-centered, doesn't it?
And Jesus specifically.
Right.
Wow. Yeah. Well, I think that, if you know what colors look good on you, I think it is a Christian quality to wear colors that go with your natural skin tone, hair and eye color and everything. I think, some people look really good in red. Some people look good in gem tones. Some people look good in darker colors. And I think, to represent Christ well, we should just look good. Wear colors that look good on you.
Yeah, I think that's right. What colors look good on you, Hallie?
I'm an autumn, so I'm supposed to wear anything that's, on the color of a changing tree.
Who told you that?
The ladies at Macy's.
Oh,
Yeah.
they'll tell you that?
Yeah, they'll tell you exactly what you are.
Really?
And they'll spray you with free perfume.
You've got to be careful about that. I actually was in a department store once where I saw, sometimes they'll just aggressively spray you without your permission.
Yeah, yeah.
And I saw a woman absolutely, I guess there was some chemical in the perfume that they were spraying, and they sprayed her, and it immediately went to her brain.
Whoa.
And it completely changed her personality.
Really?
Yes. And, from that, it just, they said, she left a family. She, didn't
Are
want to be
you
a
talking
mom
about
anymore.
Jeannie Stickovich?
No, what happened to her?
Oh, same thing.
Oh, no, she got bit by a tick and started speaking with a French accent. Isn't that right?
That's right.
No, this is different.
But you can also gain an accent from inhaling certain perfumes.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
But no, this was more about she inhaled a certain perfume and it just made her, it made her aggressive. It made her angry. She didn't want to be a mom anymore. She left the family. She started dating a guy that, a guy that changed her oil, and then I guess that in more ways than one. But Hallie, yeah. So you've got to be really careful. You have to really be like, don't do. If you aren't ready to handle perfume at a place, you got to be careful that they're not just spraying it right up your nose.
Yeah, yeah. Because I guess most, perfumes are just chemicals. It's kind of cool. They're able
really?
to
Yeah.
there's not really jasmine in there, like from a jasmine flower. They just
Really?
figured out a chemical compound that sort of mimics it, I think.
Oh yeah.
It's the same thing with French fries.
Well, I've been wearing a new scent. It's called A Touch of Class.
I was gonna ask, and I will say it smells classy.
I know. Doesn't that feel like when you smell me come into the room, I feel like it elevates everybody's impression of the stuff that I'm about to lay down.
Yeah. That's why I wear passion fruit scent all the time, because I'm a very passionate person about my work. And, my work is being in ministry. So there's no greater work, that can happen on the planet. And yeah, I feel like, this is a godly relationship where I can know the scent of a man's cologne. That I feel like this is a real intimate moment that I know you wear a touch of class.
Well, I don't think of it.
Thank you for sharing that with me. Now I know what to get you for Christmas.
Okay. Anyway, Hallie, yeah. So I don't know how we got off on all that, but I think it is important to smell the way you think and think the way you smell, and be, basically, if I'm trying to put out that I'm sort of a classy guy, that I'm a man of God, I'm going to smell like that. And I think that's
scent has always been really important to me. And it's because I am a perfectionist. And so, I have to have good breath, and I have to have clean teeth, and I have to be pleasant, to be around. I want to be physically pleasant. I don't want to be stinky. I don't want to be nasty. I don't want to any of that stuff. And it's because not only am I a representative of Christ out in the world, and so I need to, always be paying attention to the way that I'm behaving and how I am appearing and all of those things. In fact, my son Day told me that I have a form of OCD called religious scrupulosity, which is this sort of like perfectionist thing, obsession, a compulsion almost to, always be, making sure that I am, casting sin out of my life in all these different ways. And, even if that means that, I have to, floss and scrape my tongue, 5 times every morning right after I get out of the shower.
What does that have to do with religion?
I don't think it does at all. That's what my son Day says. And so if Day is saying it, it's got to be coming from some crystal new age nonsense.
Well, I always go back to Day when he says something stupid, and I say, "Hey, Day, bud, you can stop at religion, because guess what? It's not a religion. All those other things are religion. Ours is a faith."
That's right.
And I can just tell, like, he really reacts and responds to that.
The thing that's nice about, Christians like us not being religious and not claiming to be a religion.
We're not religious.
We're not. It is that then they can't use all that, scholarship and research about, long-term studies of how this stuff works in communities and individuals across time. And, none of that applies to us.
Hey, you know what a
read all
long-term
your
study
books
is?
about
You know what a long-term study is?
what?
How about Jesus coming over 2,000 years ago and doing an amazing study on mankind? I think maybe the greatest study was Jesus becoming human.
Mm-hmm.
Now, how's that for a long-term study?
Hey.
I always love to use that voice when I really want people to pay attention. I'll say, "Well, how's that for a long-term study?"
Yeah. It's effective. I think it's cool. I mean, one way to really make people tune in is to lower your voice. You would think it would be to talk louder. But anyway, the nice thing about Christianity not being a religion is that you can read all your books about religious trauma. You can learn all the terms and the, opinions and scholarship. Whatever, doesn't matter. It doesn't apply to us because we're not a religion. So, but I do feel like it's kind of neat because I am a woman of faith. I'm a faith-based woman. I am totally sold out and committed.
And you smell like one.
And I smell like one too. And then I will see, because we are here in Indiana, I once in a while will see women of other faiths. You'll see a woman wearing some kind of garment that, lets you know she might be practicing a certain religion. I run into the Amish a lot.
And the Amish, they're everywhere, aren't they?
And I think, the Amish women, well, that's one way to do it. If you want to do it like that, if you want, the most...
Jesus didn't say to do it that way, did he?
Well, if you want the most exciting part of your week to be, going to garage sales with a U-Haul and cleaning up, well, I guess you want to just live the quiet life on a farm and you think milking stuff is the height of entertainment rather than having Netflix, that's fine.
But I'm always confused about
Jesus
that.
doesn't require it.
So they're not allowed to have zippers, but they can go to a garage sale. I just never know where the rules are with them. You know what I mean?
I have a garage sale every summer, and boy, the Amish really they show up with U-Hauls. They fill it up. They love a garage sale.
I know,
and they take it all back to the farm.
But how can they drive a U-Haul if they can't drive a car? Who's driving the U-Haul? And my worry is it's like they hire a couple lesbians or something. But I think the issue is more, okay, if the rule is no zippers, no cars, but you can go to a garage sale and you can hire someone to bring a U-Haul to pack it up and put it in your place. I just don't know what the rules are. And that's the cool part of the faith that we have, Hallie, is it's pretty
it's so
clear.
Freeing.
Love
We're
God,
so
love
liberated.
others.
Yep.
And that's what we do. And then that we have a few other things in there too, but it's pretty clear, isn't it?
I think Jesus is like cool with that. If you want to ride a horse and buggy, Jesus is like, okay, that's fine. It's wholesome.
I mean, he rode a donkey, I guess, but he definitely had a zipper.
But Jesus is just as cool if, we've mentioned it before, but if you're riding in in Elon Musk's Cybertruck, Jesus sees you the exact same way. So why not take the Cybertruck and have a good time?
Hallie, every year we have something called, usually every year or every summer, we'll get an Amish kid that is on they call it a Rumspringa. Have you heard of it?
Yeah, it's where they get to do anything. They get
to do anything.
Yeah, it's kind of like you get a get out of jail free card for like a year.
Right.
You get out of the jail of Amishness for 1 year.
Right. And, last year around this time, I think, and I don't like to name names, but his name was Hezekiah Yoder.
Oh, I met him.
Hezekiah Yoder.
Such a sweetie.
And he was 16, 17 years old. I'm not sure where he was living at the time because, they leave the house. You can always tell him that you can always tell an Amish kid on Rumspringa because they kind of dress in clothes that are about 10 years ago because they go to the thrift store and they try to get stuff that they think is cool, but they don't know what's cool. And then they've got these forearms, really overbuilt forearms.
That's right.
From all the farm work.
Yeah.
And so immediately I'm like, well, first off, this guy comes in, he's wearing a Gramici shirt and he's got enormous forearms, looks like Popeye. So I'm going, okay, and I'm thinking, and he's got a diamond studded earring.
Oh, wow.
And he's wearing Air Force Ones, but like not the cool ones. And then I was just like, well, I think this guy is probably an Amish kid on Rumspringa. Turns out he had a pack of cigarettes rolled up in his shirt like this, old school.
Uh-huh.
He drove a muscle car. Okay. He got a muscle car, like an IROC or something from like the 90s. And I'm like, I haven't even seen a car that old.
Wow, cool.
And he showed up just real. And I'm like, okay, bud, why are you here if you're kind of taking the whole year off from the church thing? And he was like, well, I'm here for the ladies. And I was like, bud, I'm going to shut that down right now. And I'm like, you're not going to come around here saying you're here for the ladies, Hezekiah Yoder.
Because what if he goes back to Amishness at the end of the Rumspringa? Is he going to take a climax girl with him?
Well, that's what I'm worried that they'll try to, because they always go back, Hallie.
They do.
Oh, they always go back.
Oh, I thought you had the decision to stay in your wicked ways if you decided to stay.
Well,
out of Amishness.
If you don't go back, they'll never speak to you again.
Oh, even at Christmas?
Even at Christmas. So they always go back. But I just, I think he was here to sort of tomcat around. And I said, not here.
Well, maybe he wasn't tomcatting. Maybe he was looking for a wife.
I don't know.
A godly woman. I mean, he's looking in the right place. I say if you come to Climax looking for a girl, that's a good sign.
I know, but you don't want to get them abducted back into Amish, and It's funny
Well,
because he was
yeah.
only here for a summer, and I
Yeah.
don't like to name names, but after he left, I never saw Rachel Brisbane Utley again. And she kind of looked a bit Amish. She was one of my teens who looked a bit Amish.
Real long hair.
And I was always kind of thinking like, oh, are you experimenting with that kind of stuff? So I don't know. Maybe he did. Maybe they did take off together. But there's so many kids in Climax. I have a hard time keeping track of everyone, don't I?
Well, I do just want to say it's a great place to meet a future godly woman, to find your spouse at church.
But not to steal them back into your religion.
Yeah, I think it would be real hard for a modern day girl who grew up in our culture coming to such an amazing church. You know, she's got strobe lights on a Sunday morning. We're fogging the room. You know, it has been electric, literally. And it would be hard for her to go to a farm and just milk things and live in the dark. And it rarely goes that way. You know, you will get an Amish defect. It goes that way a lot.
Sometimes,
you know, but it's kind of like it's the same way with when a man leaves his wife for a man, he never comes back. He once a guy goes men, he never comes back. It never goes the other way.
Oh, really?
Much like a modern day girl would never go be Amish.
Yeah, and just like all my black friends say they would never go be Amish. You never see that happen. You never really see a black person say, I'm going to go be Amish now.
Are the Amish, are they, seeking to evangelize and get more Amish in?
I don't know. I feel
it's
like the
really
writing is on the wall.
I feel like, a lot of Jewish people don't do that either. They're not evangelizing and trying to get people in, and I don't understand.
Speaking of a Cybertruck, we saw a couple of the buggies going down the road, and Clay and I were driving around in the Cybertruck, and it really spooked the horses. Horses do not like Cybertrucks, Hallie. They really freaked out.
Well, I bet they look very futuristic to horses, because horses are used to, things on a farm, tractors and stuff, and old looking, Ford pickup trucks and stuff. Then you see a Cybertruck and you're a horse.
Exactly.
And you're like, yo, my eyes are on the sides of my head.
Yeah.
I can't even make heads or tails of what that is.
And then there's the Mennonites, and they're kind of in between, right? Because they drive the trucks, but they dress like they have the beards.
I think the Mennos, I don't know. I don't think the Mennos are going in the right direction. They're sort of like Amish people who got ideas about like peace and reconciliation and stuff, and it really teeters on some liberal stuff. Next thing you know, they're going to be bringing home, like crystals and stuff again, like my son Day wants to.
Right. And I just feel like if you are a lady and you're saying things like, I'm not satisfied unless I have Mennonite, it could be confusing. Just that phrase.
But it all goes back to, again, I always want to pinch myself that we're the only ones with the one truth in the whole world of all the religions.
Won the lottery, isn't it?
And that we get to be so free that, that, like we said, we're not a religion. Women can dress in whatever they want to in our church, as long as it is not revealing, obviously, and it's God honoring, and you're making sure that it will, not cause any man to stumble, no matter who that man is and what their stumbling block is. Girls, you got to cover all your bases. You don't know. There might be a guy out there who likes the nape of a neck, for crying out loud. And you got to be wary of that. There might be ankle guys out there. You got to be wary of that. Although, shorts are okay in the summertime when it's really hot,
Hallie, I have to change my language around that of, to be God honoring, and what did you say, not cause men to stumble? Because I have said that to my teens who come to Climax, and I don't like to name names, but we had a teen named Zataran's Fuchs Parole, and I guess, really took that literally and was trying to really cover up. But the thing that she was wearing was so long. It was basically a dress with a train. And let me tell you, causing men to stumble. You try to play Red Rover with a train like that. Every single guy was tripping.
It grieves the heart of
So
God.
sometimes, teens are so literal. They just can't. They're just dumb. And so, that's sometimes you have to be a little more interesting with your descriptions, because she said, well, I covered up. And I'm like, well, you cause all the men to stumble and we can't even play, some of these games now.
Is Red Rover still a big one in Climax?
Oh, yeah. We always play Red Rover. I love Red Rover.
It's just a way to really clothesline your friends, huh?
Yeah. And it's unfortunate because a lot of people came out and said, this is the number one cause of broken collarbones in youth ministry. And I said, yes, but it's fun. So, sometimes you got to I don't like it when I'll go to youth ministry conferences and they'll say, we've stopped playing Red Rover. And I'm like, okay, you're going to get rid of a classic. It's an absolute classic, Hallie, just because a few people break the collarbones. I think it's sick.
Well, I mean, when Peter stepped out of the boat, he started to sink for a while.
Right. Are we just going to cut that story out of the Bible?
Yeah. Things don't always go right.
Exactly.
That's just how it goes. You fill up a bunch of teens in a gymnasium and you're going to have some broken collarbones by the end of the night. That's just how it goes. You're going to have no less than 12 sprained ankles too.
Exactly.
But that's just part of having boys. I mean, as a mom, I'll tell you what, boys are violent, from the time they can, put a thumb and finger together and clamp down on something, they're grabbing sticks in the yard, pointing them at you and shooting. So it's good. You got to let them clothesline each other once in a while. It's like my corgis and my Frenchies. I got to take them out and throw them the ball a couple times a day to get their energy out so that then they can be sweet dogs. Teens are the same way.
How is your one Frenchie you were saying it was having some trouble?
Pajamas?
Yeah.
Oh, he's doing great. He's having the summer of his life. Dave's been trying to teach him how to skateboard, and he's good on there. He gets up on all fours and turns this way and turns that, goes over the little lip at the end of the driveway and down the street.
And then didn't you say you were getting one of the dog buttons that you can teach it to talk or something?
Yeah, I'm getting pajamas specifically is I think my smartest one. Although Bagel, I think could string a sentence together, but I'm getting the word buttons for my Frenchies and my corgis, and I'm going to teach them how to use the buttons so they can talk to me.
Have they said anything yet?
Well, yeah. Well, you start with outside.
Okay.
And so they hit the button outside for when they need to tinkle.
Okay.
Or evacuate their bowels, which, it has been happening. I think my Frenchies and corgis got into some of my catfish that I've been trying to feed to my husband, Lance Laban. And boy, they're waking me up in the middle of the night all night long, going out with the squirts,
Okay, Hallie, we don't need to get in that. But I'm just saying, have they said anything other than outside?
Well, the next one I have to, I was thinking that the next one I have to teach them is Jesus, because just for priorities, so that they know there's nothing more important than Jesus, not even going outside, not even food. I'm getting them a food button. Okay. I'm getting them a treat button. I'm getting an I love you, Mom, all those buttons so that they can tell me how much they love me.
Oh, that's great.
Yeah. So I'm really excited.
What would the Jesus button serve when it comes to a dog?
Well, it grieves me to say this, but I say it to my family all the time, and I've said it on here before, is that everyone in my house knows that the number one priority is Jesus.
Right.
The number 2 priority is your spouse.
Right.
This is biblical. Your number 3 priority is your kids.
Right.
I think that my dogs, they don't get it. They think that it goes them and then me and then the kids and then Lance.
Oh.
They've got it all wrong. So I got to teach them who Jesus is and how I can teach an animal who mostly only knows like body language cues in terms of like their communication style, how I'm going to explain to that beast, that there was a gentleman, a human being. He was very ripped. He smelled really good. He lived almost 2,000 years ago. He died a redemptive, sacrificial thing for your sins.
Right.
Here's the thing. I'm going to have to explain what sin is for humanity, because I am of the belief that dogs don't sin.
Really?
Yeah. I really am. I don't think animals can sin. Dolphins
Really?
too. I think they all have a straight shot to heaven.
Really?
Yeah. Yeah.
I
And
mean,
so
but
I'm going to have to teach the dogs that humans, by their very nature of existing, are worthy of a very real hell. And I'm going to have to, figure out how to get into the time stuff to explain to my dogs that right now in time, we're right now, but there was a past. Like when you had diarrhea, that's the past. And then there's a future. And, in the future, we're going to be in heaven. And I do believe that all dogs go to heaven. And so I'm going to have to explain to the dogs that you can go there naturally. You don't have to worry about it. I don't have to build the same fear into you that I have to build into my kids, to let them know that, by the very nature of their existence, they're worthy of a very real hell and nothing other than that. I'm glad that my dogs don't have to experience that emotionally, and that they know that they're just worthy.
But Hallie, I'm sorry to push back, and I don't really ever pay attention to your dog's stories. But didn't one of your dogs chew the hot tub cover off of the hot tub? You said you got a new hot tub cover, several months back, and one of the dogs must have chewed up the edge of it. Would you not consider that a sin? That the dog that damaged the new hot tub cover?
My dog ate the whole flip side. You know how one side of the hot tub cover flips up? There's
Okay.
like a seam in the middle and one side flips up. My dog ate that whole one side. Now my hot tub is just always half open.
Well, it's a soft tub.
Yeah, I got the soft tub and I like it.
And for those who don't know, what is a soft tub? Just to make sure that people know.
A soft tub is shorter. It has a shorter profile. It's round. It's made to look like a fake terracotta plant, like you have a big, huge terracotta planter in your backyard. You sit in it on the floor and your knees are up. It's comfy and the sides are soft. It's inflated, but it still has jets. It's nice. I get all my chemicals in there, get the pH all right, and then I sit in there all night. I mean, Lance doesn't even realize I've been gone for hours because he's just tuned into ESPN on his phone. Wait, he's now doing some OnlyFans where he gets to follow certain athletes by, paying a subscription membership. It's cool.
There's a lot there, Hallie. So just going back to the notion of sin, you don't think it was a sin that the dog ate half of a hot tub cover?
No, it was a mistake.
Oh. What was it a mistake? What was it a mistaking?
The dogs make mistakes. They mistakenly thought that was a chew toy or a food, and they were mistaken.
I see. So you give it you sort of
so you can have a lot of grace for a dog because it's oftentimes it's just mistaken.
I see.
And that's not punishable by death. We were having a whole philosophical conversation in my house with my kids this week because they were pushing back on the idea that all sin is equal in the eyes of God, and that, sorry, but murder is the exact same as lying and saying you didn't, finish off the English muffins when you were the last one to take the last one. That is on par with murder to God. When God sees that you deliberately deceived your family by saying, I did not take the last English muffin, that is the exact same as like Jeffrey Dahmer. When God watched Jeffrey Dahmer cooking those guys and eating them and cutting them up, to God, he's like, this is the exact same as an English muffin lie. And
I don't think any of those people were English that he ate. I think, okay, I'm not really sure how we got on that, but I guess it's good to know that you think dogs don't sin. I don't really think about dogs. I do think.
Do you think dogs sin?
I mean, just the way the little attitude. I don't really care about dogs, Hallie. But I guess my guess would be they do sin. But will they go to heaven? I don't care. So. What do we have another question?
Yeah, before we finish, we have people have been writing in and asking questions.
Oh, great.
And also, this is more like a comment, actually. And there was a lot of activity around Twin Hills this week. The campus was a buzz and a blaze, actually, on one day because at Ricky Bowen's celebration of life, funeral that we were holding in the chapel on Tuesday.
Right.
It didn't go exactly as planned. They'd made some custom fireworks for Ricky Bowen's funeral. You can make custom fireworks, like for a gender reveal party
Oh, I
type of
love a
thing.
gender reveal.
Isn't it so awesome?
I love a gender reveal.
Before the thing is even out of the oven, we are letting them know, like, get ready for pink bedroom and pink skirts and pink dolls and pink blush and pink ruffles and pink lipstick on the night of your wedding.
It's so great. Clay, and I'm not sure if I mentioned him before, but my friend Clay
Mason
Bannerman and I, we went to a gender reveal a few weeks ago.
Oh, really? Awesome.
For a friend of Clay's who works in marketing. And, they just talk about, I just love, people who work in marketing really know how to do it up. They just had Hallie, they had a step and repeat.
Awesome.
So you could take an Instagram photo. They had everybody they had a whole closet of floppy hats in case you wanted to put one on, you could. And it was just awesome. She's having twins, and it was so fun because they did the gender reveal by they have a really nice pool.
Cool.
Super nice pool. So they were going to do this thing where they did some kind of food dye or something that they were going to dump in the pool. So it was it was basically just, they were going to dye the color of the pool, the color of the gender of the twins.
Yeah, but it's already blue, so it would just be blue if it was a boy.
Well, how like like when they dye the river green in Chicago.
Okay, cool.
And so yeah, I guess it was going to be blue if it was
just
a boy,
bluer,
just like bluer
okay,
if it's a boy.
Cool.
It didn't go quite as I think they wanted it because when they did they're having a boy and a girl twin. And so when they put the blue and the red in it, just in the pool of kind of light purple.
Yeah. Wow. I never thought of that.
I know. And then Clay said something stupid like, well, maybe this is the whole gender thing anyways. Gender is a construct or something. I was like, Clay, what are you even talking about?
Oh, don't get into that kind of, that's liberal gobbledygook. That's word salad. I never thought of that before, but when there's a boy and a girl twin in the womb together, I mean that, there's no windows in the door to make sure everything is, staying appropriate and that they're leaving room for the Holy Spirit. And
well,
all that. I mean, it seems like, there's no accountability or anything if they're in there all by themselves with no one,
Well, I don't think that's going to happen. What do you think's going to happen, Hallie?
I just don't know if it's appropriate for a boy and a girl to, be in
sharing a womb.
Yeah, that's kind of a dark private place for a long time.
Well, I mean, I know a lot about twins, Hallie, because I am dating a twin right now.
That's right, a triplet.
Well, right, and well,
Barbie Lou too.
They're technically twins, but actually they kind of say they're triplets. And as people know, that Tiffer and Mickey
and Tiff, are they the same? Are they different?
Well, they're different because they shared a little womb, and then there was a bifurcation of the womb.
That's right. Their mom had two uteruses,
and then Bobby Lou was on the other side of the wall there.
Uteri.
Yeah, and so I do know a lot about twins. They think the same. They act the same.
Yeah.
It's almost impossible to tell them apart, except for the tiny little personality differences from time to time.
Yeah.
And I guess all that is to say it's going great.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
That's awesome. Well, I'm sure, twins are all keeping it above board in there, but, we do have a rule at Twin Hills that we don't have any single door in the whole campus that doesn't have a window in it.
Right.
Because if people go behind a closed door, goodness gracious, they can claim that anything happened.
Exactly.
A woman could just start making stuff up that, the senior pastor did to her or whatnot. So we got windows in every single door. You cannot be behind a closed door on this whole campus. And I'm proud of that.
Well, except for Steve's office, but he needs the privacy.
Yeah, he has a keypad entry code.
And, for Steve, it's like he needs a retreat. He needs a place where he can go and think.
Yep.
And so that is something that I think is important. And, that came up this week, Hallie, where I guess, and I guess he was back for a minute back on campus, but people will remember that Terry Hartunian, who, was formerly, he was a consultant. He was a worship leader, but he was not on staff officially. I guess he said he left something in Steve's office and came here in the middle of the night and got into Steve's office. I don't know how, but I was talking to security, and they said that it was really, really scary because, of course, here we thought it was a terrorist attack or something, someone trying to get in and undermine the great work that we're doing here. Apparently, it was Terry Hartunian come 3 a.m, absolutely just, energized out of his mind, and tried to get in Steve's office, tried to kick down the door, eventually did get in. And I'm like, where does this guy get this energy? And he said, I left my little briefcase in there. I'm like, your little briefcase? He always carries that little briefcase.
He might be picking up that stuff you can get at the gas station. What's that stuff called? It's like 8 hour or something you can get. It's sort of like speed. You can get that, truckers need it to stay awake at night. You can get it at the gas station.
Oh, and well, in Australia, we have 36-hour energy, which is really intense, because if you're up straight for 36 hours, but Australia, we've got much longer highways, so the truckers do take that to stay awake.
Yeah.
But
wow.
Yeah, I just never really trusted it. I don't know any men that carry a little briefcase around unless it's filled with money or if you need a gun. And I just always thought, hey, you're a worship leader. You don't need to carry a little briefcase.
Any hoodles. We did have those custom fireworks that we had ordered for Ricky Bowen's funeral. They arrived in the back of a semi truck that then they exploded inside the semi truck. We just had this massive truck fire.
Well, and that's so speaking of terrorists, but once that happened and the Terry thing happened, I think we thought, oh, that things are, this could be our 9/11 too. And part 2.
And the custom fireworks we made for Ricky Bowen's funeral were all 9/11 custom themed,
right? Because he was a veteran of 9/11.
That's right.
Right. So, and he wasn't, and by a veteran of 9/11, he wanted to point out he wasn't at 9/11. He just experienced it.
Yeah.
Which I guess if you, in that case, we all are. I wasn't.
But. Well, I'm going to start claiming to be then, because I was glued to the news for a week. Any hoodles. We got to get through some of these questions, Gray. Yeah. Someone asked, have any of the Climax kids commented on that you have charisma, uniqueness, nerve, and talent?
Oh, they have been saying this, Hallie, and I'm so glad this came up. And I actually kind of I didn't put this in there, but I did say, if you all want to send in a question, you need to send in this, you need to do this. And they did. And they said, I have been serving charisma, uniqueness, nerve and talent. Awesome. And they said, I have been serving that all summer.
Oh, great. Isn't that so sweet?
I don't care about the feedback from teens, but Hallie, it is nice to hear, isn't it?
I love seeing how many nice people have such good things to say about you, because you always forward them, and you have so many stories going in that I'm always tapping through your stories on Insta, and you're reposting all these people saying such lovely things about you, and I love hearing all those compliments. It's people love you, Gray.
I know. So yeah, they say I am serving all those things, and it's just really, it makes my job easier, because I love going to work, Hallie, especially when people are saying things like that.
Okay, here is a question. This is a question for Hallie and Gray. School starts in a few weeks, and when my mom took me out clothes shopping, I was a size 6. One dress she got me is an 8. I realized I didn't fit in the twin hill seats in the women's sections lately, but I just thought it was because my mom always makes me sit squished between her and my aunt. What do I do? Is it normal for a 16-year-old student to suddenly have hips?
Well, it is normal, and I give one talk per year about this, Hallie. It's called Bodies. It's called The Bodies of Christ Are Changing.
Awesome.
And I'm not afraid to talk about this stuff, Hallie, and I'm not afraid to talk about it once a year for about 15 minutes, where I really just walk while I play a videoer, and then I just walk everybody through, that the bodies are going to be changing and we're not going to talk about it anymore. And I think that's going back to Red Rover, this is another reason that people are like, don't play Red Rover. It's just giving everybody an open invitation to sort of clothesline the top or the bottom. But I say, yes, your body is going to change. It's going to be fine. The time that we're going to experience that the most is probably the summertime, because that's when it's hot outside.
Mm-hmm.
So I just encourage you all to start wearing deodorant, and
and the real strong stuff too, that's got a lot of aluminum in it.
Oh, right. You got to go full Mitchum on these kids, Hallie. And in fact, I was looking for a brand deal at one point with Mitchum to see if they would do, Mitchum's. I had this whole idea for Mitchum's Christian Soldiers, where that they would put their deodorant on my teens, because at the beginning of the summer, Hallie, it was ridiculous. You couldn't even go in the gym without just being hit by a wall of undesirable fragrance. But yeah, so to this person's question, I would just say, yep, it is normal. You can expect a lot of teens to get hips. Except, and I don't like to name names, but there are some teens that won't get hips, and I'm
Oh, is that right?
well, I'm looking at Seismic Butterfield, and she is straight as a rail.
Yep.
And I'll point to a teen like that and say, or you could look like this, and that's fine too.
Yeah.
Because she, probably if ever had a kid, would just rip her in half.
Yeah. Well, I love it when a godly man can speak into the physical experience of females who are out here with a female body. And I was wondering, because you were sort of touching on some of it there, Gray, but I was wondering if you could, as a man of God, specifically speak to young girls with developing bodies and explain to them what's happening, what to expect, and how to keep it all focused on Jesus and Christ specifically.
No, because Hallie, what I like to do is I point them, I do the video, which, I do a video, and then sometimes I'll say, hey, teens, now go make a human video of what we just saw in the video. Just replay it as a human video.
Cool.
And do that to,
it gives them something to do.
A song by Hillsong.
Eats up time for the service.
But really, that's a conversation that should take place between a lady, her mom,
and her dad, probably,
if he wants, and then and probably the best place to look, the Bible. Yeah, there are lots of stories. Of bodies in the Bible. I was just reading a great story the other day about Ehud. Remember that?
Who's Ehud?
Oh, Ehud was the one who got stabbed, Hallie.
Okay.
And that story is interesting because Ehud it really goes into, when he got stabbed, it was just like it was Eglon and Ehud. And when Ehud, I think it was Ehud got stabbed, or maybe Eglon got stabbed, but he was really fat. And the Bible verse just talks about the sword going into the fat, and the fat
just ate up the sword, and they never found that knife again.
Right. And sometimes I'll use a story like that to be like, you got to watch what you eat, or there are lots of different bodies in the Bible. This one got stabbed.
Hey, look at the story of David, looking out and seeing Bathsheba there. The Bible says she was cleaning up after her monthly something or other. So look at that. The Bible is speaking directly into the lives of girls and letting you know everything you need to know about what it's going to be like to be female for, a third of your life, which is, hey, girls and gals, clean up.
Right.
Okay.
Right.
The Bible does have all the answers for modern life. It is not a Bronze Age text, as my son Day always wants to call it. It is very relevant. Look at that. It's acknowledging the female experience, and it is giving you all the information you need to know.
And if you can't pick it out of there, then I would just say, let James Dobson do the rest.
For sure. He will let you know exactly what you need to do with a female body, especially if it's someone else's female body. And if it's in your home, then it's your jurisdiction. And I just can't say enough good things about Dobson. Yeah. So I do think that then if you follow that story to its conclusion, it gets off of the female physical experience and what to expect and how to be godly with it all. And the focus gets on David. He does, murder a man so he can sleep with his wife, take her as his wife. And then God killed their kid to, say, David, that wasn't good. But guess where the story goes? Even though he had an affair and all that, David was what? He was a man after God's own heart, because, God could look past all that stuff David did because of what Jesus did on the cross. I guess at that point, what Jesus did on the cross was working retroactively backwards, because, God is outside of time. So Jesus had already died on the cross, even though he hadn't even been born on earth yet, or God just decided to, he forgave David because the sacrifice had been paid because God killed David's child that he had with Bathsheba. So there was death atonement.
Wouldn't that be a cool movie, Hallie? It would be like Back to the Future, but it would be Jesus going back, to people like David and being like, I saved, and that's also washed in the blood.
Oh, I was thinking you were going to say David and Bathsheba would be a great movie, but I got scared when you said that because Hollywood would get a hold of that and they would try to make it about the hot sex. And that is not a story about hot sex. That is a story about how you get punished for having hot sex.
Right. And and I'm sorry, I'm kind of hung up on what would Jesus drive to get back,
You
to
probably
go back?
Want to drive a Cybertruck.
I know that. I mean, that's what I pictured
because
it
he's
as,
outside of time. So Cybertrucks are already invented, and Jesus is like, wouldn't those be helpful here in the Fertile Crescent? I bet he thought that a number of times.
Maybe it picks up right with, Jesus is crucified 3 days. Jesus comes out of the tomb in a Cybertruck, and then he's going, I've got something I've got to go do. And he goes back through all the Bible stories, in the Old Testament, so that because, we've got a new covenant and all those old OT characters need to know what Jesus was up to. And then, the rest is, it writes itself. And if anybody that makes movies listening, we should talk.
And Michael J. Fox would be a cute Jesus, but not a realistic Jesus.
No.
If an actor were going to play Jesus, it couldn't be Michael J. Fox because I think Jesus was really tall.
And I would think in this type of movie, you'd want somebody that's funny, but also that's strong and can do the action parts. I'm going Ving Rhames. What do we call it there? I think that's a pretty good one. Thanks everybody for tuning into the live stream. Did anybody get a bingo? I think someone did.
Yeah, I think someone did.
So if you got a bingo, drop us a message. You can email us megathepodcast@gmail.com or in the Discord, send me a message, and you get, for getting the bingo, a Climax pin. I'll send it to you in the mail. Isn't that cool?
It's a good one. Cindy got bingo.
Hell yeah, Cindy.
Congrats, Cindy.
Thanks everybody for joining us for the live stream. Give us a thumbs up if you can. That will help us with the gods of the algorithm, and let people that follow or that subscribe to the YouTube channel that they can that hopefully will pop up on their recommendation list. And we'll do this again next Sunday. That was so fun. Thanks for all your great suggestions. The ones we didn't get to, we'll try to throw into the next one. And go check out the Paul Britton episode today that just dropped. Got a little
It's
JD
funny.
Vance action in there. And any other
who is that actor you just
Ving Rhames?
Who is that?
You know him. He looks like Vin Diesel, kind of. It's like one of those like meathead guys that they all look like Joe Rogan or something. And last but not least, I'll just plug this here. Sure. Since y'all are live stream consumers, go check out the trivia show that I'm producing called Like Minds. We're doing another one on August 21st, and it features Vic Michaelis from Dropout, Rob Corddry of many things, including The Daily Show. And it's going to be really fun. So you can live stream that. It's like a broadcast quality live stream. And if you want more info, go check out at Like Minds Trivia on Instagram. And would love to have you in there. It's going to be a really, really fun show.
The last one, I agree with Elise. The last one was great. The Helen Hunt one was
we had so Helen Hunt last time. It was great. So go check out. We're working on some other projects and would love for mega people to know.
Singer in this one?
I don't know yet. We're going to try.
I thought when Carly did it, it was so sweet.
Yeah.
So sweet.
Thanks everybody. That was the live stream. We'll see you.
Thanks for being here. See you
at next church. Bye.
I'm craving